Okay, so let's look at this. This is a traffic surveillance system. Okay, so the camera will be able to know the plate, right? But think of 50 years ago, and that's too long. Maybe 20 years ago. How can we recognize the plate numbers of the car? Oh, please close the door, thank you. How can we do this? Before, it's very difficult. You need to done this by professional, someone professional. Okay, like I say, website 10 years ago is very difficult. You need to have a specialist who help you to build a website, to build a shopping cart, right? But now you can do this by yourself. Before, if you want to do this, you need to find someone very, very professional, pay a lot of money for that. But now, it probably only take 1 hour, and you will be able to build one like that. Okay. Maybe it's not as easy as I say, but what I try to express is that it's not difficult. Because everything is based on what? We just mentioned. Remember 3? SAS, PAS, ICE, right? Okay, so we use what? SAS. We are engineers. We will create the platform, right? So we working on where? PaaS, platform as a service. Okay, so with a platform, you will be able to construct a system this easily. Okay, but 5 years ago, this still need to be done manually. Right? Now, once the ChatGPT coming, everything changed. Okay, if anyone here know what is ChatGPT? No. Do you ever do your homework with ChatGPT? Raise your hand. Be honest. Use ChatGPT to work with your homework. Okay, it's fine. You everyone use. I also encourage my students use ChatGPT. Why? The homework is better? No. Because basically I'm not IT guy. Actually, I'm not familiar with IT things. I work with automation. Basically, I work with robots. Okay. So, I'm hardware guy. I'm not familiar with software like this. Okay, but how can I do this? Just because the platform, the AI. Okay, let's think of the back end. Okay, so we have video. 10 years ago, we have video, and there's accident. So we are trying to what? Watch a video, right? So how much time you can find this? You take a lot of time. But now, with AI, you just give some information, you will be able to find accident or something, or find a car. Okay, let's look back to the platform. Before, you have to check this by human, right? Long time ago. But later, you do have a recognition system. I will tell you what's the difference. But first, because we are talking about the cloud and for computing, right? Okay, the other thing is autonomous vehicles. Now your car could be like this. Okay. So before your car is just car, but now you link to internet, right? So you have an entertainment system, you have even self-driving system like this. So what's inside, and who is going to give the command? Which device is going to provide the compute, storage, database for it? It will be possible to lose the communication to the internet. It's possible. So if we lose the internet connection, what can you do? I know. Why I know? Usually, if we are going to China, right, or somewhere, cannot use Google. We will download Google Map first, right? You know what I mean? Like you are going to visit China, you are not allowed to use Google Map, right? But how can you use Google Map in China? They have another system, but I'm talking about edge or fog. Okay, so your car may have a computer, so I can download first, right? So once I lost connection, I can still make it work. I mean, I still have map. Okay, but more than that, we can. Okay, I want to say is how can we allocate the resources to cloud or edge? Okay, the goal of the project. The goal is two things: collecting data, edge; use data is cloud. So this will make the cloud more availability, more reliability. So we do have a fog. The name is similar. Okay. Fog sometimes means edge, but that's cloud in the sky, right? And the fog is more close to the land, to the ground, right? And the edge, usually it's a device on ground. Okay? But sometimes it's very close, because the devices link to the gateway. So, but just remember cloud, fog, and edge. Okay, so it will be like this. 所以我们是要休息20分钟。Okay, so Wi-Fi. We don't want to have this. Why? It's too complicated and very costly. So the better way is if we can pass everything to the cloud. It sounds easier, right? Okay. It sounds easy, right? But the question is, if we want to have a more reliable system, like I say, if your car lost the connection, it may get lost, right? I mean, he doesn't have the map, right? And the traffic surveillance, it lost the cloud connection. What happened? It may not keep a record, right? So it's better to have a local devices to keep this data when we lost connection. So it makes sense, right? Once we lost, what happened? We lost the data at least the period of time when we don't have an internet connection. Okay. And also Wi-Fi. If everyone want to pass things to the cloud, they need to have, for example, the Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi is very power consumed, like your cell phone. Okay, you will consume a lot of power. But the devices like this, they are small devices. They use very small battery, right? So they have a power limitations, right? And they cannot connect to the network directly because they are using the lower layer for communication, right? Data link, they use data link. So also the storage. These devices don't have a storage. Okay, so they will rely on the fog or edge. Okay, so also even computing capability. If you want to judge something, you need to have a computing capability. So that's fine. So we come back. We will process the plane number recognition at the edge. I mean, at the camera. Okay? So, the bandwidth we need will reduce, right? Because if every camera pass the whole videos to the back end, that will what happen? That will become traffic jam, right? But now we are not going to pass all the video. We will recognize this platform, keep the data, pass to the back end. That's all. As it's more economy, right? But this is cost. Why? It's not easy to maintain once it's broken. The car is the same. Okay, so that's the way we did. I didn't know how many of you have been taking the machine learning courses, but however, cloud computing, they have more compute resources, right? So you can, camera take the pictures, and then you have maybe neural network training, and then you get the modules. So you will put the modules to the camera, right? So you will be able to perform something like you did. Okay. So we train the computer to recognize the platform, the license plate. Okay. So now let's to discover the IoT and the cloud for observing the things around us. Okay. So what's different between U-Bike 1 and 2? Probably some of you have never seen the U-Bike 1. Does anyone know what's different? U-Bike 1, U-Bike 2? I know you are foreigner, probably you don't stay here. You are not a Chinese student? Who is Chinese student? No Chinese student? 我们没有台湾的学生吗 Anyone know what is the U-Bike 1? No? 不对啊，我们应该有台湾的学生啊，为什么没有？你知道U-Bike 1吗？ Well, I want to tell you is for U-Bike 1, once you take the bike, they cannot track you. But once you put it back, they will be able to find you. That's it. Okay, like the computer here, you take it away, then you take it back. Okay, but then U-bike is too different. They will check you. There is GPS. They have NB-IoT narrowband IoT band. I mean that's a protocol for low power communication. Okay, so you can see U-bike 2 has devices. Okay, something like Arduino. Okay, so if you are electronics engineers who work on the device hardware design, maybe you join a company, you may be asked to design something like this. Okay, so they have a solar panel to charge the bike. Okay, so that's much easier to build the pole. Before, in the U-bike 1.0, we have a less station. Why? Because you need to have a power cord. It's not easy to set up. But now, they use this. So they can set up the station everywhere. They just put in. But the limitation is the battery is limited. Right? I mean, there is a battery inside, right? Used to charge the bike. Okay, so because the device need to have a power, right? Okay, so once you leave the station, they will be able to check you because they have a GPS sensor inside. They know where you go. Okay. So that's the difference between 1 and 2. Okay, but now why they upgrade the system? Why IoT is so important? It just wastes money, right? You see, before 1, you don't need to have these devices. Now we spend a lot of money to create. Okay, but of course there's an advantage when you are setting up the port, easier. Okay, because you don't need to have Ethernet, you don't need to have, this requires Ethernet power cord, right? But for setting this, easier. That's a battery and the solar panel. That's all. Okay. So you can see, I think this is France. In France. Okay, so they also do this. And now for elder people, you can have an electrical bike too. Okay, why this? Why upgrade the system? That's why. Okay, if you are living in Taipei longer, you will be able to know this. When the Mayor Kerr 就是那个柯文哲当市长的时候 the Mayor Kerr say, Taipei City Mayor Kerr, I mean ex Taipei City Mayor Kerr say, all bike is better than U-bike. That's why you say. Because a U-bike can only park at a port. So people don't like it. Why? Because you need to park there. So you cannot find the port, you cannot park. Alright? But old bike, they give you freedom. You can park everywhere. Okay, so the consequences is like this. This really happened in Taipei. Not in Taipei, I think around Taiwan, right? Probably 5-6 years ago, Taiwan University, just next to our main campus. there are 1,200 old bike in their campus, and nobody care about that. So the university, Taiwan University, they spend some money to take this trash out. So that's why. If you don't have IoT, you cannot track things. All right? It becomes this. But you may say, no, that's IoT. The bike is IoT because there is a call. I remember I scan to ride, right? So I know you don't have experience to ride this bike, but if you go to China, maybe you still have a bike. They scan, so this is IoT, right? This is IoT, right? No, it's not IoT. Your cell phone is IoT, not a bike. Okay, but why? I explain why. There is a Bluetooth. These devices. But this one cannot be tracked because he has only Bluetooth. Okay, so when I use my cell phone to communicate, so my cell phone communicate with the cloud and take it back open. But these devices do not link to internet. You know what I mean? Why? It's something like I am the Bluetooth gateway. Understand? Okay, that's a Bluetooth. My phone is a gateway. But once I take my gateway out, it lost connection. You got my ideas? Right? We talk about file layer, right? 3, 5, 7, right? 5, from bottom position layer, network layer, middleware, application layer, and the business layer. Remember this. That's my gateway. So once I removed my phone, we lost the old bike. We don't lost, but the management, they lost. The company, they lost control. Okay, so now you have a better understanding for the IoT, right? Okay, so it doesn't mean it linked to the internet. It's not. It's not linked to the internet, but your cell phone do. Okay, but does your bike to solve the problems? Yeah, they solve some problem, but they cannot solve the physical problems. For example, now everyone, at the metro station. Now, at this moment, everyone come out from the metro station. You take your bike, right? You come to a campus. So that's the first situation we like. There's no bike. Okay. But once you are going to back, the afternoon, you are going back to the metro station, you will be full. You cannot find the pole to stop your car, your bike. Okay, so they need to have a transporter to deliver the bike. So your bike, too little, cannot solve the problem, physical problem. Okay. So IoT can solve some problem, but not all. But at least we can make things more efficiently. Like this, we will be able to know where has the bike, where doesn't have. So you won't waste your time. Okay, does you bike to, what's the difference? Okay, but they are quite similar. How many examples you have been used Go Share? Okay, but what's different? Their communication protocol is different. Okay, because this is for low power, narrow band IoT. Okay, that's for GSM because they have a big battery. They are not worried about power, so they can use Wi-Fi. No, they use GSM to link to the internet directly. Okay, this is also linked to the. It's like in the 2G, we have 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G. Now we are using 5G. This is something like for 2G GSM network. Okay, so simple architecture of IoT and the data. Data transfer consideration. Okay, so we have considered that is sensor, right? Payload sensors. So we have considered the gateway software collecting data to a data center. So we have to think of how much money the cloud will charge because AWS service is not free. Okay, I have a question. If I upload data to AWS cloud, should I pay? Should I pay? I upload to the cloud. Should I pay or not? If you save your file on the Google Drive, okay, they only give you 50 gigabyte for free, right? So it's over, you have to pay more, right? Now how about AWS? Upload is free. Download, you have to pay. But why? Because data is money by my view. So data, you give them data, they give you free. But once they analyze the data, you will become some useful insight. You will become value, right? Okay, so download, charge money. Okay, in our AWS Cloud Foundation, we will talk about this. Okay. But now we just need to have a concept for they do like a similar. They do like similar because this can connect to internet. This can connect to internet. But this is as a big battery. That's all. So we need to choose the low power consumption protocol for U-bike. Okay, so there's a gateway, and that's what you have considered. I think we have. So we may consider some, local, inexpensive, local network. But however, the system will be look like this because the bike is moving around, right? So you may have a gateway. Just think of this is U-bike station, so they will have many bikes, right? Okay, so you have gateway to connect this data, and then send this back to the internet. Something like this. But NB-IoT does like this. NB-IoT will be able to direct link to the network, even though there is no gateway. Okay, Bluetooth, that one need to have a gateway. Okay, but NB-IoT, no. It's linked to the radio station, GSM radio station directly. Okay, but anyway, that's a basic architecture. Okay, so if that's what I find from a company. Okay, so if you are going to develop a system, okay, you can follow this. This is an example. Okay, we talk about AWS cloud, right? So you work for a company, right? So the company will ask you to build a platform, PaaS as a service, right? So you will do something like this to construct. So stage 1, sensor. Stage 2, gateway, data acquisition. And the edge IoT by this way. Okay. But this just give you examples. This is another example. This is open. You can download from the Microsoft GitHubs. Okay, it's still here. That means you can use the files they provide to build your to build your own system. You can build a system like a U-Bike they are running, the system that U-Bike they are running. Okay, that's information here, U-Bike. Okay, so, but the question is a cloud service trend. IoT technology applications are beyond cloud service storage and analytics by applying artificial intelligence. Because everyone talk about AI, right? Okay, so let's look at this. Usually we have cars in our main campus. This is my first year to teach the class here. That's what we call a smart doorbell. Okay, probably you have this at your home too. Okay, so like now I'm here, right? So I can bring it up and I can monitor. So I can monitor the door, right, like this. So I know the door is open or not. Okay, like this. Okay. But if someone ring the door, who is going to open? Who is going to open? I can open it from here. So the doorbell is not smart. I'm smart. Right? Okay, but how about we put an AI? So we have a face recognition system, right? So you will be able to recognize people who has been authority, have been authorized to get into, right? Okay. So how can we upgrade the smart doorbell to AI? Okay, to have recognition capability and even more, even talk to people, like a chatbot. I think now, when you visit some website for customer service, I believe 90% you are talking to machine, not human. You know what I mean? You log in a website, you say, "Oh, customer service," right? You are not talking to a human, right? You type something, and if they need to have someone to reply you, they will have someone to reply. Okay, but how to reply AI? Okay? If anyone took the AI class, raise your hand. Okay, if I say something wrong, correct me. Okay, anyway, for everyone has different phase, right? So they may have some features. Like my eye may be more closer, your eye may be wider, and then my nose may be smaller, your nose may be bigger. So there is some features. That's what they use to detect, to recognize people. And how about check bar? The check bar is like you visit a website, right? And someone, not man, is a robot, to talk to you. So we call check bar. How can we do this? How can we do this? I teach this in year 2019. So that's about 5-6 years ago. Okay, so the students can finish this in 3 hours. Seriously, 3 hours. Okay, because that's a standard course. Okay. But how? You go to check this. AWS, Amazon, Lex bar. Okay, so you can create your bar. Okay, that's our exercise before. But I'm no longer to teach this. Why? Because now we do have a ChatGPT. We use LLM. Okay. Maybe I go past this first. That's what we teach before. Okay, we exercise. So, but you have to know some basic differences. Once you are going to recognize the OCR means optical character recognition. Okay, so conventional OCR, this is from ChatGPT. It's rule-based. But AI-powered OCR is based on the learning. Okay, so the differences is, it's called conventional is based on pattern match, some rules. Okay, but for machine learning, it's based on features. It's based on features. You extract some features. Okay. Anyway, now everyone focus on this, not this. Okay, next, look at this. If you have a number, like a printed number, 1, 2, 3. So we use a pattern match. We just try to compare how many percentage is similar. Okay, like a 1, you lost a little bit things, but it still remain maybe 90%. Okay, so you may recognize this is 1. Okay, but if we look at the numbers and right, there is no way to recognize this. Do you think this 1, this 1, this 1? With AI, yes. You will be able to recognize this. But if you work with traditional or conventional OCR, it won't. You cannot recognize this. You can only recognize the printed what? You have to define it. You have to define it. Okay. So this 1 cannot be recognized. Cannot. In this course, we have exercise. But this cannot work. What I mean cannot work is this can have exercise to make you have knowledge, but it cannot become a product. How can you make it work? how can you make this become a product to provide a service? So we teach this too. Okay, so you just go here. Okay, so that's 2019. That's a workshop, right? Okay, so you get started with this. Build a less bar. Okay, everything is here. Okay, build a check bar. Then follow the step. Then you set up. I want a coffee. I can get. Okay. So who did this? Who did this? Okay. You want to make a check bar, right? So you ask the customer, what size of coffee you want. So you set up the answer, large, medium, and small, right? But this cannot work in Starbucks. Why? Why? Because they don't say large, they say tall. Right? I mean, large coffee in Starbucks, they say tall. Okay, so this can't work. So you have to change. You have to change. So you need an engineer to change this. But now, based on LLM, you don't need to do this. So that's why last year, the AWS laid off about 60,000 employees because of the impact of AI. We are no longer to have someone to set up this. But I'm talking about year 2019, when people just start use AI. Okay, let's start. I think people start to use ChatGPT, not chatbot, even earlier. But that's a solution provided by the. Anyway, you will be able to build a facial recognition. You will be able to build a chatbot. At the end, you will be able to deploy it with AWS platform. So it can be a real product. And wait. Okay, so now, of course, AWS, they also catch up to the up-to-date AI technology too. So they have a new AI chat. But sorry, I don't have time to study this yet. Okay, but I'm going to study this. I think it's very important to keep up with the technology. Okay, so 5 years ago, the technology we are used to use are no longer have valued. Okay, so that's Amazon NAS. Okay, anyway, you will be able to register the account for a free account plan. Let's think of we are going to upgrade our car. As a car, it's not connected to internet. Okay. I believe now you do have some ideas about how to do it, right? After these 2 hours explanations, you get some ideas. Okay. At least you remember 3, 4, 5. Okay. 3 is easier. 5 a little bit complicated. 7, we need the aid from the professionals. But you don't need to worry. Why? We just use the platform. Okay. So now let's look at the car self-awareness systems. Okay, so can you back or maybe this to what I just said? Cloud, IoT, and OSI. Can you refresh this? I mean this. You need to be able to link this. Okay, so when we go to the exhibition, when you look at the product, they show you, you reflect or refer to what I told you, and you will be able to know how to have a deeper study or even build the system. I think it's time to take a break again, but I think we will save the break. We will finish the class earlier. How about that? Give me 10 minutes more, and then we will finish the class today. Okay, so you have to connect to the internet. I mean, we skip the break. We go through the class tour, then we will finish today's class earlier. Okay, so that's class room and that's key cards. And the purpose of class I already introduced. Okay, so we have 3 things to do. Literature, hands-on. At the end, you have to create a project. Okay, so that's what we are going to do. Okay, so week 4, go to page, and we have we have midterm. You have to give a proposal. You need to also have some quiz, simple quiz, online quiz, to make sure you catch the knowledge. Okay. It won't be difficult. The quiz were all from the Cloud Foundation. Okay. If you pass, you pass on the system, then you should be able to pass it. Then we are hands on. Okay, that's all. Yeah, if we have time, we will introduce AI more. But if you don't, and we may only focus on the cloud. All right. Okay, that's textbook. And at the end, you will be able to receive the Cloud Foundation badge. Okay, it's not a certificate, but it's good to have it. Okay, to prove your experience. Okay, so before we will ask you to have the fog. Okay, but now by my experience, we don't have time, so we may just use the local cloud to install. Okay, so that's I think we can pass through this. Okay, so this is important. As homework, including the attendance. All right. Okay, attendance, homework, some quiz. Okay. And before we do have some mailbox, I take it out. Okay. So including attendance reports, homework. Okay, so that's schedule. And the time, I don't know. Because, students always late, so I postpone the class start at 9:20. So it's much easier to remember. 10 to 20, we take a break. Okay? But it sounds not work here because here has a bear. Okay, maybe we just follow this, right? Okay. Because in the industrial 4.0 center, we don't have bear. Okay, anyway, we will take a break. 10 to 20. And usually we will have literature first. And then have some hands-on. I will reserve 30 minutes for you to discuss with your teammate every week. Okay, so, and we have been explaining this already. Okay, that total is 20 hours, but we will only give introduction, briefing. Okay, so all the courses and resources will be on Moodles. Okay, so I may not have time to introduce so many. I mean, I may not have time to introduce the other two clouds, but you may visit their website to know how to create an account and use there's some functions. But why this is important? Because cloud service is focused on application, the add-on value. Okay, so once you join a company, they may use what? They may use Google to keep the data. They may use Office software with Azure platform, OneNote, something like that. For their maybe their website or something, they use AWS or IoT like this. So there's a term called mist cloud. You know, mist cloud. It's a mist. It's a mist. Mist cloud. So you need to link them together. Okay. So they may provide you something called API. API is called Application Programming Interface. So for you to access the other platform. Okay. But can you do this by yourself? Probably it's too complicated if you don't have the app from the professional guy like you guys from IT departments. Normal people cannot handle this cloud. Right? Well, but you guys going to lose job too. Why? Because they call it Zhonghua Telecom. They provide me the cloud service platform. Okay, they already make everything together. You know what I mean? So IT guys, maybe you should consider to study hardware more. Seriously, now they do have this service. Before, you need to have someone who studied IT for 10, even 20 years working with IT, so you can do this. But now they have everything together. About 10, 50 years ago, when I was studying responsive website design. I mean, before cell phone, right? There is the website is done like this. Okay, so because our cell phone has very tiny screen, right? So you have to learn responsive. I mean, the screen will become smaller, right? Okay. If you know how to design responsive website, web page, well, they may pay you around maybe, I think at that time, already over $70,000 per month. T1. But now, people, if you only know how to build a website, you lost a job. They don't need you. I just tell you, technology changes very quickly. Okay. Okay, anyway, that's what we are going to learn. I did not update some pages, but just give you the ideas. Okay, that's what we are going to learn. Okay, and that's a learner lab. Actually, I explained this already. So once you log in, you start your lab, but everyone only have a $50 to use. Okay, here is a 100. Okay, but now they only give a 50. I mean, you can use their storage database and the compute source. Or anyway, you come here and you log in. That's a console. Okay, so if you are not really familiar with this, confused, well, there's information about Fidelity, and you can register the electronic permit online, and you can have the QR code. And that's an example of PPL project. So if you have time, you can go to take a look about what the other students have been done. Okay, some of them also including the GitHub's code. Okay, so yeah, and that's a hands-on. Okay, so that's all. And week 1, if you have someone, you know someone in the class, you can try to team up with them. If you don't, don't worry. If you cannot find a partner, we will follow your student ID to assign a team for you. Okay, but if you do have someone you know in the class, you can try to find them, make a team. And I will suggest you to create an account on OneNote, so you can share your work like okay, like the students, they share their work with me. Okay, so the team 2. So I can share some past information to them. Okay, like this. Okay, like this team. That's notes. Okay. Okay, I think that's all for today, and thank you for interesting in this class. I know it's pretty heavy, so if you regret, you can drop the class. It's very heavy, seriously. There's a lot of work.好，那今天就上到这里了。That's it for today. We will finish earlier.都可以下载。我登录到以后要找哪个？你有上课的话，就会出现了。会出现我们课程就是物联网的。